Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today for the wedding of Alex and Emily. I am overjoyed that the wedding of our beloved daughter is being held in this manner. As the speech began unexpectedly, all eyes in the venue turned to Brian, the father of the bride. I noticed the perplexed expressions of my brother Alex and his fiancée Emily, which concerned me. Could it be that an unplanned speech had just started? While worrying about this, I listened attentively to Brian's words. Then, Brian uttered something shocking. However, there is one concern I have. It's about Alex's brother. As a company executive and a city council member, I will be related to him too, but I am uneasy about the fact that he only finished middle school. It is a disgrace to our family. Brian's words enveloped the room in a heavy silence. Feeling humiliated that I was being demeaned and frustrated that Alex and Emily's wedding was being ruined, I wanted to drag Brian away from the microphone. However, my brother acted before I could. Alex took the microphone from Brian and said in disbelief, "Don't you know who my brother is? It's a big problem with you, a city council member, don't even know that. My name is Michael. In my 30s, I work for an IT company. When I mention the name of my company, people often get surprised and mistakenly think I am talented, but that's not the case at all. My father used to work for a major company, but after being laid off due to economic downturns, he succumbed to alcohol. From then on, our family life changed drastically. We sold our spacious house and moved into a small apartment, leading to a poor lifestyle. Even before I was fully aware, I had been engaged in various extracurricular activities like French and piano lessons, but those were no longer feasible. In addition to that, I couldn't even expect to get sweets when going shopping, and I had to wear hand-me-downs from my brother or clothes given by acquaintances. My mother worked from early in the morning till late at night, but due to my father's breakdown from the layoff and his subsequent drinking, our financial situation must have been very tight. I remember always feeling hungry. Despite my mother's hard work, our living standards didn't improve. My brother Alex and I, despite being children, discussed various things to alleviate our mother's burden. We never pestered for toys and shared chores like cleaning and laundry to ensure our mother wasn't overburdened. We can do much now, but when we grow up, we'll learn money and make life easier for Mom, Alex would often say to me when we were in elementary school. When Alex was in his third year of junior high, his teacher, Mr. Smith, would often visit our home to discuss Alex's future with our mother. Being a primary school student back then, I didn't fully grasp the complexity of these discussions, but it seemed like Mr. Smith was suggesting that Alex should attend a regular high school. Alex has excellent grades and will surely perform well in high school. He has the potential to pass the entrance exams of prestigious universities, Mr. Smith insisted, but Alex firmly refused in front of our mother and Mr. Smith. I have something I want to do after graduating from junior high. I clearly remember my brother saying that to Mr. Smith. I immediately understood that what my brother wanted to do was to make life easier for our mother. I'm not sure how Mr. Smith understands it, but he left that day saying, "There's still time, so please talk it over." Despite Alex's firm decision on his path, Mr. Smith seemed unwilling to give up and visited several more times. Usually, my mother would handle these visits, but on one occasion, my father, who was often out gambling or drinking, happened to be home. During their discussion, my father became furious with Mr. Smith. After that, Mr. Smith never came to our house again, which probably settled the decision that Alex wouldn't pursue high school. After graduating from junior high, Alex announced he would join the military and left home. Witnessing these exchanges and growing up seeing my brother's actions, I naturally felt the urge to think about my future and decide on a path early. I've admired my brother for always choosing his path without hesitation since I was young. About 20 years had passed since then. Since we both started working, we were busy and only met each other once every few years, but I recently received a rare call from my brother. "I have someone I want you to meet. Can you make some time?" he said. The joy I felt when I heard he was getting married was indescribable. Alex, who always put our mother and family first, was now walking a path towards his own happiness. I managed to make time and attended the meeting of both families. "I'm Michael, Alex's brother. Nice to meet you. This is Emily, and this is her dad, Brian, who is a city council member. Mom has met him, but it's your first time, right?" Following Alex's introduction, Emily, his fiancée, greeted me with a charming smile. I was happy to see Alex find such a wonderful person, and at the same time, I felt relieved that our father wasn't there. My father's unhealthy lifestyle finally caught up with him, and now he's been hospitalized long-term. I haven't seen him for many years, so I'm not sure about the specifics of how he's been living. But based on my memories, I feared he might ruin this meeting, so as much as I feel bad for him, it's probably best for him to focus on his treatment in the hospital. I thought today would be a good day, but my optimism was misplaced. As soon as we toasted, Brian started asking about our childhood. "I heard you didn't have the best environment during your school days. You must have faced many hardships, right?" As Brian looked into my eyes and asked this, I couldn't help but tense up. Despite his words, his tone didn't sound very friendly. He might not think highly of our family's circumstances. I worried that his poor impression could negatively affect my brother's marriage. Nervously, I spoke about our situation. "That's correct. We were in a tough financial situation back then and had to work together as a family to make ends meet." "Could you tell me more? It seems neither of you went to college." It appeared Brian was also concerned about our education. Indeed, having two family members who both didn't finish high school might naturally cause concern. Being a city council member, Brian would want to avoid any negative rumors. But it wasn't out of laziness or dislike for studying that my brother and I didn't continue our education. While I'm not exceptionally gifted, my brother had the potential to be admitted to a prestigious university. I tried to explain our financial difficulties as clearly as possible without leaving a bad impression. I started working right after graduating from middle school because I decided I wanted to contribute financially to our household. My brother left home to become a cadet in the military. These were sacrifices, not choices made out of a desire for leisure or personal pursuits. Looking back, it was tough, and I wouldn't want my own children to go through the same. I wanted to convey our unavoidable circumstances, but Brian seemed unconvinced. "I'm not looking for excuses. Basically, it seems like, aside from Alex, you lacked a long-term perspective in planning your life." Being directly contradicted like that left me at a loss for words. I couldn't muster a response. Brian continued, as if to rub salt in the wound. "Logically, working straight out of middle school limits your earning potential. It's hardly different from high school students working part-time. Considering lifetime earnings, it was a short-sighted decision." I understood what Brian was saying, but I couldn't agree. At that time, my top priority was to ease my mother's burden. and I did earn significantly more than a high school student would with a part-time job, contributing a substantial amount to our household. Not only did I spend my days working part-time, but I also spared no effort in studying to increase my income. I woke up early to make time and found moments after late night shifts to significantly improve my self-taught programming skills. I had a genuine interest in the field, so the study itself wasn't painful, but affording a computer and managing household chores made it far from an easy life. Even if it was tough, if both of you were earning, you shouldn't have been in poverty. Maybe there was significant mismanagement of money. I glanced at my mother. She looked uncomfortable and was looking down. She wouldn't deny anything herself, so I spoke up on her behalf. Indeed, we did contribute financially to the household, hoping it would ease the burden. However, we couldn't make life easier for our mother. It's true that I gave money to my mother, but she couldn't reduce her working hours. There were two reasons. One reason was that my father's dependency on alcohol and gambling wasn't the only issue. He had also accumulated debt. The other was that, although I thought I was contributing financially to the household, my mother had actually been saving all the money I gave her. I discovered this when I was studying programming after my part-time job. Back then, I couldn't afford to buy a computer, so I convinced a friend to give me their old one, which were about to be thrown away, by saying, "If you're going to throw it away, give it to me." The computer was so slow that it took nearly 10 minutes to start up and often froze while I was typing. Frozen again. This is useless for studying. Frustrated by the computer's frequent crashes, I couldn't help but raise my voice in anger. My mother, who had silently approached, placed a thick envelope on the keyboard. "What's this? What do you mean by this?" Even before opening the envelope, I had a hunch about what my mother had left. It was an amount of money I had never seen before. "Spend this to buy a computer. It's your money." "What are you doing?" I gave you this money hoping it would make things a bit easier for you." My mother had saved every penny I gave her without spending any of it. Realizing that my efforts hadn't really helped, my mother felt empty. Yet knowing I could now buy a computer with more than enough specifications with this money left me with mixed feelings. "This is for all the experiences you sacrificed. I'm not happy when you do such things," my mother said with a smile. Emily, who had been listening to my story, was attentively following along, occasionally sniffling. I had never told my brother this story, so he looked solemn, saying, "I had no idea such things had happened." But Brian seemed unsettled, as if something didn't sit right with him. "I'm concerned about the lack of proper communication within the household. Emily, are you and Alex able to talk things out properly?" Questioned by Brian, Emily showed a reaction as if to say she was taken aback by the rudeness. "Dad, that's quite rude. Michael has been enduring hardships and making efforts, and there are no issues between Alex and me." After being sharply rebuked by Emily, Brian, with a sour expression, stood up. "The dinner seems to be spoiled for me now, so I'll excuse myself. Goodbye." Ignoring Emily's attempt to stop him with a "wait a minute," Brian left the private room. "I'm sorry. My father is stubborn and impolite, and I apologize for any discomfort he may have caused." Neither my mother nor I contradicted Emily's words, but the dinner ended in an awkward atmosphere. I wondered what would happen next after the meeting, but Alex and Emily's relationship continued to go well, and the wedding date was set without any issues. Today is the long-awaited wedding of Alex and Emily. The ceremony was movingly conducted with blessings from the attendees, and we moved to the reception venue. Sitting at the same table as my mother and watching Alex and Emily beside me, I felt tears welling up seeing the happy couple. As the toast was made and the venue enveloped in a warm atmosphere, Brian stood at the microphone stand and began to speak. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today for the wedding of Alex and Emily. I am overjoyed that the wedding of our beloved daughter is being held in this manner." As the speech began, all eyes in the venue turned to Brian. The perplexed expressions on Alex and Emily's faces concerned me. Could it be that an unplanned speech had just started? While worried, I listened to Brian's words. Then, Brian uttered something shocking. "However, there is one concern I have. It's about Alex's brother. As a company executive and a city council member, I will be related to him too. But I am uneasy about the fact that he only finished middle school. It is a disgrace to our family. Was he drunk?" His face flushed and his speech slightly slurred. Brian's words cast a heavy silence over the venue. It's unthinkable to say such a thing on his daughter's special day. Feeling humiliated and frustrated that Alex and Emily's wedding was being ruined, I wanted to drag Brian away from the microphone. But Alex acted before I could. Alex took the microphone from Brian and said in disbelief, "Don't you know who my brother is? It's a big problem with you, a city council member, don't even know that." "Hey, Alex, what are you talking about? Your brother is just a hopeless middle school graduate. He's a burden to society," Brian ranted. After calming Brian down, Alex addressed the attendees from the microphone. "I don't want any misunderstandings among our honored guests, so let me take this moment to clarify. Michael is a brother I'm proud of. There's no such thing as a burden to society, but please allow me to share how much my brother has contributed to society." I wished he wouldn't go on, but everyone in the venue was listening to Alex's words. I couldn't do anything but silently listen. Alex began to speak highly of my current endeavors to save face for me. Our town is currently advancing a smart city project. A smart city is a community development aimed at using cutting-edge technologies like ICT to enhance efficiency and create a more livable society. The project is moving forward in coordination with national and regional officials, including city council members. As it turns out, I was selected as one of the engineers capable of transforming society. Having worked in system development in the IT department of a major company, my achievements and skills have been recognized. My current company values my abilities regardless of my educational background, and I've been supported by many people to get where I am today. So I've never thought of myself as anything special. However, my brother praised me, lifting me up as someone who contributes to making our society a better place to live. However, it seems Brian was not aware of my brother's contributions, so as a city council member, I ask for your support, my brother said before returning to his seat. From the audience, there were envious glances towards me, accompanied by murmurs of, "Is he really doing his job as a city council member?" Embarrassed, Brian's face turned red as he quietly returned to his seat. Feeling self-conscious under everyone's gaze, I excused myself to the restroom, greeting people along the way. As if looking for me, Brian and I bumped into each other as I was leaving the restroom and heading back to the venue. Seeing me, Brian gave a wry smile. "I can't believe a middle school graduate like you is involved in our city's project. If someone like you is involved, this project might end up failing." Just as I was utterly astounded by his continued sarcasm, a voice echoed down the corridor, exclaiming, "Dad." Turning around, I saw Emily, looking stern as she was about to go change her dress. "Are you still saying such things?" How much do you intend to hurt people? If you're going to talk like that, you might as well go home. Emily was visibly upset, and in her emotional state, she pushed past a stunned Brian. The venue staff tried to calm her down, but she left saying, "I don't care about Dad anymore." Leaving a shell-shocked Brian behind, I returned to my seat. Apart from Brian's unexpected speech, the ceremony went smoothly. Members of the military, colleagues of my brother, attended despite their busy schedules, and their energetic and humorous performances were a highlight. A speech by Emily's best friend, representing the Friends, conveyed Emily's wonderful personality, moving me to tears. As the ceremony neared its end, it was time for Emily's speech. Receiving the microphone from the staff, Emily looked over the venue and expressed her gratitude. "I'm truly grateful to everyone who took the time to join us today. I'm deeply touched to celebrate this special moment with all of you." Turning to my brother, she continued her heartfelt thanks. "Alex, you are the most important person in my life. Every day with you is special to me. I know your work in the military is challenging, but I'll be here to support you, so please, let's continue this journey together." After greeting the groom's family and friends, Emily turned to face her mother. She reflected on her challenging childhood, apologizing for the trouble she caused during her rebellious teenage years and for the harsh words she had spoken. "I am who I am because of you, Mom. I'll strive to be a wonderful woman like you, supporting and loving my family. Thank you, and I look forward to our future together." Emily's mother, holding back tears, nodded repeatedly. Brian seemed contemplative, listening intently, with his eyes closed. Finally, Emily paused before turning to face Brian. "Dad, today was an irreplaceable, special day for me. Yet, you spoke words that could easily hurt others, and I was deeply disappointed in you." The venue fell silent at Emily's unexpected rebuke. Brian, not anticipating to be criticized, looked pale as he faced Emily. As the entire venue watched in anticipation, wondering what would happen next, Emily bit her lip and said, "But..." Then, with tears streaming down her face and her voice trembling, she spoke. "I fought about cutting ties, but you're still my only father. I apologize to everyone, especially Michael, for the discomfort caused. Please forgive my father. Dad, please, no more shameful actions. Stay the proud father you once were." Brian nodded repeatedly at Emily's words. Then, looking towards me and making eye contact, he deeply apologized. Seeing this, Emily wiped her tears and smiled at Brian. "Lastly, I want to express my heartfelt thanks for your warm wishes and support. I'll cherish this day as a treasured memory. Thank you." Emily's speech turned the atmosphere around, and the venue erupted in applause. On the train home, I was looking at photos of Alex and Emily sent to my cell phone. A week after their wedding, they seemed to be enjoying their happy days. Looking at the photos from the wedding, I was convinced they would continue to be a wonderful couple. Motivated, I pocketed my phone and got off the train. Today's meeting will determine the direction of the project I'm working on. It's crucial to get some of our proposals accepted for the project to succeed. Taking a deep breath, I headed to the meeting venue. This Smart City initiative is in its final stages. The meeting was attended by city council members, executives from major companies, government officials, and the superintendent of education, among other distinguished members. The meeting progressed amid a tense atmosphere. When the facilitator asked for an explanation about our company's role, I took the microphone. By utilizing AI and big data, we can address the city's traffic issues and extend people's healthy life expectancy, To achieve this, we need to allocate the necessary data and budget. As I was about to continue with my explanation, pointing to the relevant pages in the documents, a clearly dissatisfied sigh could be heard. One of the city council members raised their hand and interrupted with an objection. What's the point of all this? Older people like us can't understand all the anxiety and data talk. And what if citizens' data is leaked? I might consider it if the national government covers all the costs. But we can't use the city's budget for something the citizens won't understand. His statement, which seemed to undermine the entire project, sent a chill down my spine. Other companies and officials also seemed to sense the negative mood and looked at me as if urging me to rebut. Amidst this, Brian raised his hand to speak. We shouldn't fear change. Society is going to evolve at an astonishing rate. For the sake of our children and grandchildren and the new generations, we need to make bold decisions. I fully support this proposal. As Brian spoke, the previously vocal council member retorted angrily, "You were against it just a while ago. Whose side are you on anyway?" Unperturbed, Brian continued calmly. It's not about taking sides, but about choosing what's best for the citizens. To me, it seems like you're afraid of change and opposition, preferring to maintain the status quo. Everything changes, and if it must, I'd rather it change for the better. Moreover, Brian added, clearing his throat, there's room for improvement in the budget. We can review and cut unnecessary expenses. Let's not immediately reject the idea but consider it first. No one opposed Brian's words. The meeting continued with discussions on specific strategies and content, moving in a positive direction. Later, I was called by my boss during work. I received joyful news. The Smart City project was approved, and I was to continue being involved. I was asked to work on system development for infrastructure and a health management app in collaboration with engineers from another major company, which I gladly accepted. Despite a difficult childhood, I've learned that effort is rewarded. My mother will surely be happy to hear this news. Doing well in my job might be the best way to show filial piety. With these thoughts, I proceeded with my work. About 2 years later, I received great news from Alex. He announced the birth of their first child, a healthy boy. Though I wanted to visit right away, I decided to wait a bit since newborns shouldn't go out much or get sick, according to what I read online. When the day finally came to visit, I found Brian already there, playing with the baby. Dad, you don't need to use baby talk. It's not like you. What are you talking about? Seeing such a cute grandson naturally changes how I speak. Watching their exchange, both Alex and I couldn't help but laugh. Observing Brian's completely different demeanor from our first meeting, I pondered the changes in him. What if Brian hadn't supported me at that meeting? Where would we be now? People and the world have been changing. If it's going to change anyway, I want it to change for the better. I found myself reflecting on what Brian used to speak those words back then and what he is. I couldn't help but think that Brian decided to change after the wedding. While I can't be sure, recalling his demeanor after Emily's speech, it seems likely. Encouraged by Brian, I held Alex and Emily's child. Though the baby's vision might still be developing, it seemed as if he could sense a stranger holding him because he wouldn't stop crying no matter how much I tried to soothe him. What's wrong? Do you prefer Grandpa? Come here, Brian said, and the baby stopped crying as he took him. We laughed again at Brian's joyful expression. Though my card project is far from over, I'm determined to make our hometown a happy place for Alex's child. Watching everyone's smiling faces, I made that promise to myself.